So, a lot of you on my channel are new to motion controls and have no idea how to use them. It can be intimidating, but after a little practice you'll be clicking heads against mouse and keyboard players in no time. For those of you that are not beginners but just want tips to get you pointed in the right direction towards getting more comfortable or improving, don't worry, I'll also be making an intermediate and advanced tutorial on the topic in the future. To get started, all you'll need is a gyro compatible controller, which are PS4 controller, PS5 controller, Switch 4 controller, Joy-Cons, Wii Remote, Steam controller, Steam Deck, Sim Nexus, and more. Here's a list of all the controllers that don't support gyro. Xbox.
Now let me explain how gyro aiming works. You simply rotate the controller in the direction that you want to look in game. You don't move the controller like a mouse, it doesn't actually do anything in game. The gyro is only used to make small adjustments. You'll be using the thumbstick for aiming 95% of the time.
Now of course there are exceptions to this, but as a beginner this is the easiest way to learn and understand motion controls. So where should you hold your controller? A lot of people think that they have to hold their controller up in the air in order to aim, but it's actually bad to do that because it's easy to accidentally shake the controller. Instead, you should hold the controller comfortably in your lap or however else you want to hold it that's comfortable. It's preference. Side note for ReWASD users, in order to have proper gyro aiming, you'll have to go to Preferences, Gamepads, and change the gyro steering axis to yaw. This is because ReWASD is actually so because it uses tilt aiming by default, which no other software uses.
I-D-K, I'm holding the controller in my lap and turning it, but I still can't make small adjustments.
There are a few solutions. You can 1. Lower your motion control sensitivity, 2. Test out acceleration, or you can 3. Aim train on that sensitivity until you're able to make small adjustments with it. For beginners, I recommend aim training first, so that way you can find the best sensitivity for you before you change your sensor mess too much with acceleration.
I-D-K, what aim training should I do?
When you're first learning gyro, any aim training is going to be good aim training, so it doesn't really matter what you do. You can do aim labs, Kovacs, whatever drills you want as a beginner just to get comfortable with the gyro. But for Valorant specifically, let me just show you some things I like to do. So I like to jump on these boxes over here, and then you just shoot their heads like this, and it's good because their heads are really small and you're doing different types of aiming. Another good one is to stand behind the box like this, and this practices your bigger motions. A lot of people think acceleration is bad because it's less consistent, but that's not really true for gyro because of the way it works. I'm not going to go too in-depth about it, but basically acceleration on gyro acts more of deceleration, so whenever I move my controller fast, the motion will always be consistent. I'm always going to land in the same place every time. It's just that when I go slow, it slows down the camera a lot, so I can do a lot smaller motions. If you want to use acceleration but aren't really sure how to set it up, you can join the Gyro Gaming Discord, which I'll have linked here. Alright, here's a big question. How do you know when to use the stick or the gyro to adjust your camera? And this question is actually really hard to answer because it depends on a lot of things. But in general, what I like to say is to just use the stick for everything, and whatever you cannot use the stick for, use the gyro for that thing. So if you want to hit this target here, get the stick as close as you can, and the stick can't be any more precise, so you use the gyro. And as you get better at gyro, you will eventually learn to use the gyro for bigger flicks like this. But as a beginner, it is okay to try to do these flicks like this. There's nothing wrong with getting this close and then adjusting. Alright, the last thing we're going to discuss is flick stick. First of all, what is flick stick? Here's what it is. It's an alternative control method to using the right stick. Instead of moving the stick to adjust the camera, you rotate the stick to rotate your character in the game. That means you only get horizontal movement and not vertical. This works because the gyro can control the vertical on its own, so you don't actually need the stick to do that. So here's the question. Should you use this? Is it better than the normal stick? And my answer is, it really depends on the game and on a lot of other things. If the game you're playing requires you to always be flicking your camera around and constantly be moving, then I think that flick stick might give you an advantage there. But if the game you're playing requires you to have a lot of fine camera control and always be pre-aiming, then I think that the right stick would be slightly better. But in general, you can use both for pretty much any game. if you are going to learn it, I think that it is more important to learn the gyro than the actual stick. So as a beginner, while you're learning gyro, if you're more comfortable on the right stick, you should just learn the gyro first with the normal right stick. Once you get comfortable with the gyro, then you can start trying to learn flick stick. But if you're new to both, I wouldn't try learning both at the same time. Alright, that's everything for this video. Let me know in the comments what else you'd like me to cover or what other questions you have about gyro. If you found this video helpful, then let me know in the comments or leave a like. And if you didn't, then let me know what else you would have liked me to cover in this video.